Good morning. So I've just logged on very quickly to make a very quick video only for my DJI to crash on me because there was no power. And then next door has just had some builders come in there, so there's likely to be some noise. And in the meantime, I'm setting up this camera on my phone and I can't find what I need. I've got one of these things, you know, like with the doobries. Couldn't find it. Found it. Anyway. So it's just to let you know what I've been doing over the last few days. As if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I've been using the Lions app inside Shopify to connect my Shopify listing to eBay and manage the inventory, and any changes that I make over on Shopify in theory should update the listing on eBay. And I've been taking a lead or advice from Gemini to manage all this, and it's been a huge effort, massive. I've spent like hours and hours on just one listing, you know what I mean? Because there's like 100 options, and I've had to copy all the, create SKUs for them, get all the EANs and create MPNs, and then transfer it over. One listing, I looked at it last night before I went home. It's my trouser zips, everything transferred across smoothly. And before I went home, I had a look at the views, and there's been a huge spike in views on the listing. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Great, I thought. So I thought what I need to do as a final check is look at the other listings to make sure that all the data is being transferred across, because there's a kind of a lag, you know what I mean? If I remember correctly, there's so many bits of data that can be transferred over in 15-minute slots from Lions app to eBay. And if, for instance, somebody's dropped in, say, 200 listings, and there's a lot of data that will occupy those 15-minute slots up to, say, an hour or two, then you've got to kind of wait your turn. So you just don't know when the actual update's going to happen. Eventually it will happen, apparently. You just don't know because you're blind, you know. And all you can do is keep going back to the listing and seeing if the change has taken effect. Of course, it all takes up time and everything, and every time you go in there, it's like, you know what I mean? The life of an eBayer. Oh, bloody hell. So, I went in this morning to look at a listing that I'd worked on last night heavily. You know, I mean, I spent about 3 hours on the bloody thing, only for none of the data to come across, the inventory in particular. So I thought, right, you know what you've got to do? You can't afford to spend all this time on these listings because you're just chasing your tail, and you'll end up, well, your compensation will be something like 30 pence an hour. Real slave labour, you know what I mean? So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to cancel the listing on eBay. Update the master on Shopify until it's pristine. You know, it's got everything in there that I want, the proper description, a great title, do all the SEO down the bottom of the page, and behind the scenes do the EANs, the MPNs, the SKUs, and just make sure it's completely compliant, fully optimized, and then send it over, right, as a brand new listing. And you'll get that boost. Apparently it's a 48-hour boost where Cassini, the eBay algorithm, gives you the benefit of the doubt, and it gives you a boost in views to see how it's going to perform. If it's got all the information that it likes, or the obvious fields completed with the EANs and the SKUs and all that, then it gives it additional, well, it gains traction, I think. So that's what I'm doing. I'm deleting the listing, plus it insures me against this. It completely breaks the linkage, if there is any, because they're talking about asterisks and tokens possibly still anchored to the listing from Inkfrog. Even though I've broken the Inkfrog listing, it leaves a footprint. And the pictures are still hosted by Inkfrog. So if I delete that listing and push a new one over from Shopify, then it establishes a permanent, clean link between Lions app, Shopify and Lions app and eBay. A new fresh start. But 1,200 listings to go through, mate. It ain't gonna happen anytime soon, is it? And I'm not doing no bulk action, because, you know, the amount of time that you have to work behind the scenes is huge. Anyway, I'm talking 5 minutes. I'm trying to keep this short. I've got one more thing to say about it, and it is this. Over the last 15 years, every time I got an idea in my head about a domain name, I went and bought it. In the early days, back in 2000, I spent £2,500 over about 2 nights on my credit card buying domain names. And because I don't even remember, there was a company called egg.com, it was a bank, and they paid £1 million for the name, and it got my attention. I thought, I got to get, so I went mad, me and a mate. He spent about the same amount of money. We just went on the phone to each other every 5 minutes. Like, what have you bought? What have you bought? Like, you know, I bought balloons online and things like that. I don't know why. I just got nothing to do, bloody balloons, but I was just buying domain names. Anyway, over the year, I got rid of all those. I didn't maintain them and everything because it was just bloody stupid, speculative gambling kind of thing. You know, I was going to be the next millionaire. And my mate even went down, he bought mortgages.com. He went down to London to try and sell it, and they said, what's your business plan? And he said, well, I haven't got one, just got the domain name. I went with him. I refused to go in the office. I stood outside and smoked a fag. He went in there, came out, and like, he was all depressed about it. And he said, we've just spent all that money and it's not worth a bloody penny. Because you've got to put a business behind it, you know? Oh dear. Anyway, over the years, I've bought several domain names and I've held on to them. And they all end with Mart. The very first one I bought was Watchmart, www.watchmart.co.uk. Because the idea was I was going to do an eBay shop with watches, because I could get a good deal on watches. But I thought, you know, in order to learn, I'll start on watch straps. So I bought watch straps, only to discover how complicated it was. And then I started seeing the scammers and everything, and other watch sellers were basically saying, I've just sent a £500 watch through the thing, and the blooming customers opened up a return item not as described and sent back a blooming Timex. Things like that. So I thought, no, I'm not going down that route. But I carried on with the watch straps, and in the end, I kind of lost interest. But I got this domain name, watchmart.co.uk. But I did the same thing with Happymart, because my name's Martin. And I was playing on the idea of exchange and Mart, right? So I thought Happymart, Watchmart. So I bought Button Mart, Ribbon Mart, Craft Mart, Fabric Mart, Zip Mart. Got all these domain names. Put them into Gemini. He said, you're sitting on a gold mine. Yes, I thought, yeah, I've heard that one before. You know what I mean? He said, no, he said, you've got 4 options. He said, the first one is to basically take the domain name that's sitting with your provider and point it to your zip category on your website. He said, why? He says, because it's got the word zip in it, it's niche, and Google likes niche. Plus, anybody that's searching for zips, the domain name will come up, and they'll click on it, it'll come through to your website, your category. 5-minute exercise. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it with all that. I've got button Mart, I've got buttons, I've got ribbons, I've got fabric, and I've got craft kind of thing. So I'm going to point all those domain names onto my categories. But I'm going to approach the zip section over the next several weeks. I'm going to smash that area, just like I did with the curtain tapes a few months ago. I'm going to really, really work it, you know, the item specifics and everything, the EANs, the SKUs, the MPNs, the bloody lots. I'm going to put the weights in, everything you can imagine. If it's there, I'm going to populate it. I'm going to work through that zip category, point the domain name to that thing, do all the full SEO on the front page, the category page, and all that kind of thing, you know, because that'll help me just focus on a particular area. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the stuff on eBay and oversells and everything. I'm just going to concentrate on the zips, get the zips right, then I'll move on to the buttons or something, you know what I mean, because that's a big section and it's a big seller. But it said the second option I've got is to basically turn the category into a website inside a website, but it requires a bit more time. So I'll look into that just for a bit of fun, just for learning, see what it is. It's all done inside Shopify. My light's falling down. The next thing is why does everything keep going wrong for me? And third thing is, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I think this is the end. Shut up. See you later. Bye.